And welcome to the Sabi Sands. It's another beautiful, beautiful day here, not a cloud in the sky. And we've just arrived at the little two-track that will take us to where we found Kunyuma with his duiker kill late last night. And I'm glad we've arrived at this point and you've joined at this point, because it'll be very interesting to see if the leopard's still here. We'll literally find out in the next 50 meters. So I'm hoping he's going to be up the marula tree. If he is, let's hope for the best here. We've got VM on camera, Alex in final control. It's so exciting. I'm thinking he is still going to be here. I'll be surprised if he's finished the duiker kill. Then again, we often do get proved wrong by the animals out here, so only time will tell. Okay, well, this is the tree that he was in yesterday. There's no sign of him being in it at the moment, but if he is full-bellied, as he could well be, he may well be lying on the ground, as it's typically more comfortable down on the ground when they've got a very full belly. Well, there's still some remains of the duiker, so that's good news. He shouldn't be far. And VM's going to pan up to the duiker now to show you the remains there. And it has moved ever so slightly. Since last night, it was in a different position, so it did continue to feed on it a little bit last night. And what we will do now is continue to drive around. Like I say, he wouldn't be far. He may have gone off to drink, but I think he's going to be lying up somewhere not too far from here. Where could he be hiding? Just goes to show how lucky we were to find him up this tree yesterday, because it would have been very easy to drive past it and not notice that that duiker killer's in there. Now, I'm guessing we've gone off a little bit too far here, but I'm just going to continue so I can turn around easily, and then we'll head back onto the other side of that marula tree and hopefully get a little bit lucky. Just to let everyone know as well, Mark has taken a few days off. He's got some matters that he urgently needs to attend to, but he should be back on Friday for the afternoon drive. So apologies if some of you weren't aware of that, but he does have some pressing issues that need to be taken care of, and I'm glad that he can go and sort that out. So it'll just be myself until Friday on the mornings and the afternoon drives. So no hyena around evidently, so they were obviously, the wind maybe was not in their favor, and potentially they had other opportunities elsewhere. Oh, sorry, Kunyuma. We didn't see you there, and didn't mean to chase you up like that. Incredible, their camouflage. It was just meters in front of the vehicle. We were searching and scanning, knowing there's a leopard here, and we still couldn't see him. Well, not a bad way to start the morning or the drive. And look at his tail there. Not sure exactly why it's twitching, but let's just assume that it's because he's just as happy as we are. It's a beautiful day, like I say. He is looking up into the tree, and maybe the thought of that duiker is exciting him and causing him to twitch his tail. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try and reposition, because for two reasons. I want to get into a position where we can hopefully see his face a little bit better, and also I want to be in a position that if he does move and start heading towards the tree, we are in a good spot to be able to film that, because it is a wonderful thing to see them climbing up trees, and from that angle where we were, we wouldn't have had a good shot. So let me just reposition, and then we can get comfortable. And for those of you who weren't on yesterday's afternoon drive, just to recap, or yesterday's morning drive, we spent a fair amount of time yesterday morning looking for this leopard. There was a report of him being seen at the Djuma waterhole on the waterhole camera, and so I'm just trying to plan my attack here. And it was just 15 minutes before we went live, so we knew we were not far behind him, but still couldn't find him. And then came back into this area this afternoon and actually drove past this very tree in the early parts of the drive and didn't see anything. And VM actually suggested we come back and have a look here, and we had just named this road, this little 2-track Ingwe track, just a reference for myself and VM to know which road we're talking about. It doesn't have an official name. And then Ingwe is a leopard, so we named this leopard track, and luckily enough on our first afternoon after naming it, we managed to actually find an Ingwe on it. So well done to VM for suggesting to come back here. Looking a little bit playful with us, so he may give us a little bit of a mock charge, so be ready for that, Graham. And it is interesting how his behavior changes from day to day, because sometimes he doesn't really mind us at all, and other times he gives us these little snarls. Even a few days back, he would run up to the vehicle almost playfully. It was really incredible. And he knows vehicles and humans very well. His mother, whose territory encompasses Djuma camp, raised them in and around the camp, so he has seen a lot of vehicles since he was born, him and his brother. And what's interesting to note, that his brother, now they're both 2 years old now, his brother seldom, or he's yet to ever snarl once at the vehicle, yet they've both been exposed to probably exactly the same human interaction. So it does just go to show how different animals, just like humans, do have different personalities. I wonder what he heard back there. If we're lucky, it would be a hyena approaching. That may increase the chances of him going back up the tree. Okay, boy. Now, if he does get up and start moving towards the tree, it'll be difficult to try and reposition. But we'll see what happens. I might try and get onto the other side of the tree in order to get the best angle. One thing I've really been hoping for over the last, or for these last few drives, is to see both Kunyuma and Quarantine, the two brothers, together. And wouldn't it be an awesome sight to see Quarantine slinking out of the undergrowth here and joining the sighting? It would be very interesting behavior to witness, because I'm sure Kunyuma wouldn't like to give up his hard-earned meal. But then again, I would have no idea, because I've yet to see any of them together. So that's something on the wish list before the drives. Finished. To see any adult leopards together, just to have two leopards in the same shot would be great. The most I've ever seen in one sighting was 5. It was an incredible sight, but by the same male that was in that sighting. So, and some really interesting dynamics did unfold with that specific leopardess and her cubs, and the 18-month-old one tended to tag along. Oh, this is a good sign. We like to see yawning, because it can often be an indicator that they're going to be on the move. Now, the problem is, well, not the problem, rather, the question is, how long do we decide to stay here with him in the hope that he's going to go up this tree? I think it is something worth hanging around for, and we'll just feel it out and see how his behavior goes. But at this stage, it's almost worth waiting until he does it, because he will do it at some stage, and it's not often we get to see leopards climbing up trees, let alone feeding on kills. So I'm not sure if heading out into the unknown would be the right call now. It's also very quiet with regards to other vehicles out at the moment, so not too many game viewers about, which doesn't make things easier for us in finding animals, because teamwork is essential in us being able to find animals, and when there's less team players out here, it becomes harder. Any stations mobile? Thanks, Vim. Yeah, doesn't sound like anyone's mobile. I haven't heard anything on the Game Drive channel. Sorry, Alex, you can go ahead with that question again. Alex, you can go ahead with that question again, please. Oh.
Did you get his transmission?
Oh, sorry, no, I am. Go again, Alex. Sorry, one more time. I'm not sure why the volume's so low on this radio. Okay, question from Sharon in Memphis. Good morning, Sharon, and welcome on board. Sharon's asking how far the leopard would stray from the kill, and it's a good question and not an easy one to answer. Oh, more yawning. This is again a good sign. Let's see if he looks up at the kill, because that would also be a good indicator to us that he is thinking about it, or about heading back up there, so they can drink more easily and therefore not have to stray far from a kill if they are needing to drink. I'm actually going to take a chance and get into position now, because I think he's going to get up and go up this tree. So we'll take a chance. We can always go back to where we were. So Sharon, sorry, I'm not finished with your question. I am going to get back to it. So yes, Sharon, depending on their need to drink, they may move off, but other than that, they would typically have no reason to leave a kill. We'll just give it a few minutes here, because I do think he might well get up and start feeding again. When the yawns start increasing in intensity, or the amount of times that he's doing it, it is a good sign that they could well be thinking about getting up and getting on the move. In my experience though, Sharon, back to your question of how far they may stray from a kill, I remember finding a leopard with a duiker kill, also in the Sabi Sands, and about 500 meters away from that, we followed her. She left the duiker kill and led us to an impala kill that she had also made. So she had 2 kills up 2 different trees. I guess we may be parked a little bit too close to the duiker kill, which is almost directly above us, but it should be fine. Oh, will this little gamble pay off? I'm not too sure. Thanks for that question though, Sharon. And in all my sightings of leopards with kill, they seldom do leave them and often hang within 50 to 100 meters of them. It's different if there's cubs around. I've noticed that adult leopards, especially with young cubs, will try and get fairly far away from them, because the cubs will often want to play with their parents or their mother, and their mother may want to rest and relax. So the mother can often leave cubs to their own devices. Just spotted our first smaller, interesting sighting, which we often do find when we are stationary in one place for a length of time. And it's, oh, more yawning there. Was that another yawn, Viam?
Wasn't paying attention.
Okay. But if you look, Viam, in this buffalo thorn here, you'll notice there's a strange little... There we go. So if you just zoom straight in there now, you're kind of dead center on it. And a little bit lower. So right in the middle there, you'll see a strange growth. Can you keep zooming in and up a little bit? There it is. So that is a very, very large Vespid wasp nest. And they're highly aggressive wasps, these. You wouldn't like to drive over that bush when we're off-roading because we would be attacked, and it's not uncommon for guides to be, and guests to be attacked by these Vespid wasps, because you can imagine if you drive over that tree, you're going to have a lot of angry wasps chasing you down. And for some of those who follow more closely, you may have realized the signs of this leopard are looking good. He is showing signs of getting up. Come on, boy. You know you want to have some daiko for breakfast. Now there's a large bulge out of the side of this marula tree from what seems to have been potentially another branch that's been broken off, and there's just a little knob left on the side of the tree, and when he climbs up, I'm guessing he's going to use that to aid in his ascent, and it'll mean that we'll have a great view of him if he pokes his head around the side of this marula tree. And he's on the move. But where is he going? Please don't. Oh, he's having a toilet break. So that we don't really need to see, but just keeping you updated. I've got a very small glimpse of him through a gap in the bushes. And after this toilet break, the odds are high that he is going to climb up this tree. Okay. The toilet break is over, and he is heading towards us, vaguely in our direction. Will he continue all the way? He's looking up at the kill now, as you can see, would have seen briefly. Uh-oh. Well, all that excitement, hoping that he was going to come back and start feeding on his kill, has now all subsided swiftly. As I was saying though, regarding these Vespid wasps, before, or a few drives ago, we managed to find a blue waxbill's nest, and blue waxbills are really cute little birds, tiny birds, and they actually have realized that there's a free security system available out there, and it comes in the form of these Vespid wasps. And what the waxbills will do is they'll build their nest just above this wasp's nest, so any snake or mongoose or even large bird of prey that comes and tries to raid that nest of eggs or chicks will be attacked furiously by these vespered wasps, so a great relationship. And interesting how the blue waxbills have managed to realize this benefits of free service from the vespered wasps. The vespered wasps, I don't think, gain anything from the blue waxbill, but blue waxbill certainly are getting a lot out of it. What's important to understand is we don't want to impact and affect the animal's behavior, and a lot of you may be asking, well, the fact that he's snarling at us may mean that he's really unhappy with our presence, and I really don't feel that's the case. I think it's almost playful, because if he really didn't like us or wants us to find him, we wouldn't. We would spend days and hours and months searching for him. But if a leopard does not want to be seen, it will not be seen. So that's something important to understand about the behavior we're witnessing. He would also probably have really given us a proper charge and let us know his feelings if he was highly uncomfortable with us. So I think it's important to realize that we're not doing anything or hoping that he does this. It's just kind of his nature and his personality, and it does change from day to day. Some days he doesn't snarl at us, not even once, and other days he'll be like this, where he can't stop snarling at us. So interesting behavior to witness. And you'll notice his panting is increased ever so slightly, and it will continue to increase because it's really starting to heat up. There's no breeze today, and this leopard is in for an uncomfortable day with that full belly. I was watching some birds flying over there. I'm trying to see exactly what bird it is that he's looking at, but they're just swallows. Why are you getting so uppity this morning, mister? Sorry Alex, I'm not sure, you're coming through very softly. If you don't mind speaking louder, I can't get this volume any louder. Okay, thanks Alex. We've just got another question through from Blair. Good afternoon Blair, and welcome on board. Or good afternoon, good morning rather. Blair's asking whether a mother leopard with cubs would still take a kill up a tree or hoist a kill up a tree, and she certainly would. In my experiences with leopards with cubs, the cubs typically start feeding on meat from around 3 months of age. So it's only from that point that they'll need to be traveling 2 kills with their mother. up until that point, she'll keep them in various den sites and they'll only rely on milk. In that 3-month stage, though, in that first 3-month period before they start feeding on meat, they do grow fairly considerably and are also decent climbers. So the mother will take her cubs from kill to kill. Obviously she can't move the kill long distances to the cubs, so that's often when young leopard cubs do come unstuck with hyena or lion or other leopard that they come across in the travelling between kills, because there can be quite big distances that they need to travel. And when they get to the kills, it's important that the kill's up the tree, because if they were to be feeding on it when it's on the ground and anything were to come, those cubs would then be in a very sticky spot. So it's safer for the kill to be up a tree where most other animals can't get to it easily, and the cubs, and therefore their food is safe and their youngsters are safe. So I guess if you even think of a domestic cats, the little kittens can be good climbers and are very adventurous from a young age, so you could imagine a 3-month-old leopard cub having no problem getting up and down trees, and they certainly don't, and those that do are sadly the ones that don't make it, because climbing a tree is essential for a leopard cub. It's their best escape routes, and most often used escape route would be to clamber up a tree, or sometimes even very small bushes, but just getting them a few meters off the ground is all they need to escape from potential harm. In the same breath though, Blair, there's a specific female leopard that I've followed quite closely for a few years in the southern Sabi Sands, and she was notoriously not good at hoisting her kill up trees, and would therefore often leave her cubs exposed to dangerous situations. It really was bizarre how she didn't hoist her kill readily up trees. Okay, boy. You'll be looking up because of vultures. You will be aware of vultures and the trouble that they can cause. On the way out of Vuyatela last night, we came across a very, very large chameleon, and we did take notes of exactly where it was, so we do plan on heading back there at some stage this morning, because it was a monster chameleon. And seeing as though we managed to show you some tiny baby chameleons not so long ago, it'd be nice to show you a fully grown adult. So that is something that we plan to do later. It's going to be tricky finding the chameleon every minute that goes on, because now that the sun's warming the chameleon up, it's going to be a lot more likely to have moved and got active. So ideally we would have gone straight there this morning. However, Kunyuma got our votes instead. Oh, he heard something there, and that's what gave him a big fright. I'm not sure what it was exactly. But the behavior we're seeing is good behavior to be witnessing, and hopefully it's going to mean he's going to get up this tree fairly soon. If he was lying with his head flat in the grass, I'd be concerned, but the fact that he has been keeping his head up, grooming, a lot of yawning, are good signs that he may well get up. Another interesting thing that we came across on our way home last night was the 2 Salati male lions, and they were deep into the Manyeleti, very close to where we stay, and they weren't alone. There was one lioness with them, and we got really lucky and actually saw them mating, so that was a great bonus on the way home. And also interesting behavior to witness because, oh wonderful, we've got some elephants approaching. This should spice things up. Can you see it through there, Vian?
Yeah. Just wait for them to come over as well.
Cool. Yeah, it's difficult for Vian to show you now because there's very thick vegetation, but they do appear to be feeding kind of towards us, and if they get wind of this leopard, they will certainly come to investigate, which should make things interesting for us. As I was saying though, before I spotted the elephants, the interesting thing about last night's sighting is that the one poor male just lingers 50 meters away from the male who's dominant between the two of them, and has to wait for 3 to 5 days for his companion and his companion's lover to finish their business. So it must be an awkward space to be in, I guess. The third wheel. And we just saw them mate once last night, and I actually did also see them on the way in this morning, and we waited for 5 minutes to hopefully see if they would mate again, but we didn't get lucky this morning and did need to get back to Djuma to get this broadcast going. The wind is blowing slightly towards the elephants, and they could well pick up his scent. They've got great senses of smell, and the fact that there's a kill here, his feces, may well mean they're going to come and investigate, but at this stage they appear to still be passing by to the south of us. I wonder if it's very thick, which makes it difficult for viewing these elephant, but I do wonder if it's worth going and having a look at them because we are so close to the leopard. And if the leopard gets up and climbs up the tree while we're not watching, well, that's just the way it's going to be. But let's try and get a good view of these elephants while the opportunity is here. And we'll come back to who's that from, Alex? If you could just go with who it's from, confirm Chris. Okay, we've just got a question through from Tim in San Diego. Morning, Tim. Welcome on board. And Tim is asking, when do I think Mvula, which is the father of this leopard and also the father of this leopard's brother, when will Mvula start to push these two boys out? And it's a very good question, Tim, because it should be happening soon. I'm not sure how much longer he will tolerate them here, and I would go so far as to guess that even within the next 6 months we may potentially not be seeing quarantine, or the people that are still here on Djuma rather, will not still be seeing quarantine or Kunyuma. That is my prediction, 6 months and they'll be off. Not necessarily too far, but they'll be starting to get pushed from territory to territory, and they could end up many hundreds of miles away from here over the next few years. But there's a set formula out here, and things change drastically between different animals, and very difficult to say when it would be that Mvula's gonna eventually kick them out. And it's not only Mvula. Oh, look at this, VM, can you see the little blue wax ball through that gap there? It's even got some nesting material, which is the bird we were talking about. Ah.
On that branch there.
Oh, sorry, were you too high up from your angle? Okay, I saw where it flew to, so we might be able to find its nest, and hopefully there'll be another vespered wasp nest there. But in the meantime, this young elephant appears to be coming straight towards us. And the rest of the herd are tending more closely to this leopard. So we are definitely in for some kind of a treat in terms of what happens here. Good question, Tim, and I look forward to seeing, or hearing rather, what pans out, because we're not going to be here to see it, but certainly going to be keeping track of the animals in this area, because we have had some really wonderful times with them. Now what will be nice is to try and get into a position where we can see both Kunyuma's reaction to the elephant as well as the elephant's reaction to Kunyuma. Oh, there the elephant's got its trunk up, it's smelling. You can smell the leopard now. How are we going to get into a position here? Okay, hold on, sorry guys. Our best bet is to get right onto the other side of the leopard and see if the elephant comes towards it. Yeah, it is coming towards it. Wow, this is going to be interesting to watch. There goes the leopard slinking off. Have you got it there, Liam? So watch this. Well, the elephant's approaching quite closely. There we go. Now you've got an idea of what both of them are up to. Oh wow, this is great. So the leopard, there you can see, is running off. And the elephant's just giving it a beady eye. And I think they're going to continue to chase this leopard, and let's see if the leopard doesn't go up the tree. Well, that leopard has probably made the wrong move in that it's run straight towards the rest of the herd. But as you can see, this elephant's not too concerned by the fact that there's a leopard about. It knows that not nearly as much of a threat to the herd as lion would be, for example. Well, we do just need to be careful and not put too much pressure on this cow, but she does seem very, very relaxed. So well, there's nothing like being in a leopard sighting when not too much is going on and a herd of elephants decide to join. Really fortunate. I really would love to know where this leopard has gone. I can't tell at the moment. But the rest of this herd of elephants are coming towards us slowly, so there's a chance they will...
Here he is.
Where is it?
Look right underneath the branching off to the right under that tree. In the grass there.
Lying down?
Yes.
Okay, well spotted.
I can't see him now either, but he's just there in the grass.
Okay, well spotted, Vian. That was really interesting to watch. I mean, they were just meters away from one another. The leopard backed its abilities to escape, and the elephant backed its abilities to, or not. It certainly wasn't concerned by the leopard. As there are a few youngsters in this herd that are going to start coming into shot, and the leopard's just on our right now. Oh. Now there's another cow, large cow, who's feeding towards this leopard, and there's a tiny baby with that cow. So it'll be interesting to see what happens here. When I say there's a tiny baby with the cow, I really don't think that the elephant has anything to worry about. But very interesting to see will be Kunyuma's reaction to the situation unfolding. And if you just zoom out now, VM, you'll get the other Ellie passing through in the background there, which is quite nice from a perspective. So there's the other Ellie just passing by him. That is another youngster. It's not the big cow that is approaching from a more direct angle. It appears to be a beautiful big herd. They just keep on coming from this riverbed down to our south. Here we go. Let's watch this closely. I mean, look. Oh, there we go. Enough's enough. Beautiful. Now the cow's coming in to properly investigate. It's going to be interesting to see what this next individual does. It looks like it could be I'm not sure if it's a bull or a cow from this angle, but it's also noticed the leopard, who's now sitting right in front of us. And I mentioned that it would be great if some hyena came onto the scene, because look at the elephant. Sorry, my monitor's not working, so it's difficult for me to tell what VM is actually filming, and therefore narrating becomes difficult, because I don't have any idea of what exactly you are seeing. So apologies for that, and just to let you know, that is the situation I'm in. Well, the elephants basically have encircled us, which is wonderful. Difficult to show you the shots of the elephants behind us, but I'm just keeping an eye on them. It appears that that situation has diffused, and wasn't that wonderful to watch? I do want to try and get you some last shots of these elephants as they pass by. Don't be alarmed by this one over here. An incredibly relaxed breeding herd, so fortunate, even considering the fact that there was a leopard in the mix. They didn't get too worked up. They didn't even let off a trumpet, which I find really interesting. I would have expected them to at least have trumpeted in distaste when they saw this leopard. I think we should spend some time with these ellies and return to the carcass in another 5 to 10 minutes. Have a look if anything's developed. If not, we'll go searching for the chameleon and take it from there. So that's the game plan. Difficult area to follow elephant through, but we'll try our best. It is very thick here, but thankfully I think I'm going to be able to loop ahead of them and get them to all pass by just one more time. Yeah, it's looking good. So we'll certainly be able to get one last great view of them crossing this road. I just now need to establish where the best place would be for us to wait in order to get the best flyby from them. Just going to wait here, and you won't be able to see much initially, so apologies for that, but as you can see the vegetation is very thick, but they are feeding towards us, and it shouldn't take them too long to pop out into a little clearing here as they need to cross the road. And once they get a little bit closer, I'll be able to establish where our best spot to wait would be. Well done on the camera there, VM. Oh yeah, on this youngster, it might give us some action, yeah. Hello. There's a youngster that looks like it may come through and give us a little bit of a show. So let's see what happens here. Well, we got lucky, they've popped out in the perfect spots and we don't even have to reposition. Now this cow looks familiar, and it looks like it could be the cow that may have crashed into Mark's vehicle. I'm not 100% certain, but the way that the tusks both kind of slant to the right, or her right, remind me of that elephant. So I've got my key on my hand on the key, and I'm ready for any evasive action that may be required. It'll be interesting, any of you, and there are a lot of the viewers who are great at identifying animals and have got archives of the different animals we've seen. So if you could have a look at, compare this elephant cow to the one that had a go at Mark, and then also there was one that a few days later had a small little Mark charging me. Oh, look at the little baby crossing the road, VM. Cute. And is it going to come up to say good morning? I think it is. Beautiful. Hello. Hello. Oh. They are so awesome. Look at this. Look at how furry it is. Okay. Okay. Well, that has put an incredibly large smile on my face. That was something that actually has been happening to Mark quite a lot, and Mark is kind of the elephant man, so I wonder why it is that he gets all the great elephant sightings. Maybe there's something that we don't know, but that hasn't happened to me for a long time, and as I'm sure you would have been able to see, you don't get much cuter than that. And wonderful how animals can be really playful, and situations like that show you how animals and humans can coexist, and if treated the right way, and if humans don't interfere too much and just let animals go about their daily business, we can both enjoy being out here together. And I think that young elephant enjoyed its encounter with us as much as we did with it, so that was good. And even though I know I'll be back in the bush probably in not too much time, I am heading back to the city at the end of this week. And when you do start winding down a safari or a project out in the bush, you always start realizing how much you're going to miss everything and miss all the animals, and you really want to try and have as many good sightings as you can, and that right there was an absolute winner. The leopard is up the tree. If not, even though it's a really big chameleon, they are masters at disguise and camouflage and disappearing, so we've got our work cut out for us. Well, at some point today, maybe not this morning, but maybe this afternoon, we will see this leopard up the tree. I'm convinced. But we may just need to settle on the fact that it may not be this morning. There he is. Not easy to see him where he is from here, and I don't want to crash around unnecessarily, because we've established that he's not up the tree, and therefore we shall continue. But I will try and give you one last glimpse on our way out. Should be able to get from this angle. Yeah, well, it's not going to be good. Can you see him in that? Oh, not to worry. We've had such great sightings of him already this morning. We will continue. Let's see what else happens out there this morning. Well, two really iconic animals of Africa, both in the same sighting. So I certainly didn't think I'd be seeing an elephant within a few meters of a leopard this morning. I really enjoyed it. Great to learn from those kind of encounters, and that if, for example, we're following leopard tracks and we know they're very fresh, and then you see a herd of an elephant walk through an area but don't trumpet, you may assume, oh, well, if the elephants haven't detected the leopard and trumpeted and, you know, got worked up, the leopard might not be here. Whereas that may not be the case. The elephants in this scenario didn't even make a noise, they hardly even got worked up. So it's all those kind of interesting little behaviors and interactions between animals that you can't get taught from a textbook. there's only so much you can read into texts when it comes to animal behavior. A lot depends on the day and individual animals. So I really enjoy those kinds of sightings where you are getting to see some really interesting interactions between the animals. And it's great, it's more often than not that we see interesting interactions, smaller animals and insects and birds, two species in the same sighting. It's not very common with the bigger, more iconic animals, interestingly enough. So that was good. Alex, how's everything going? Just testing my earpiece. Oh, could just not be working today. Oh, that's better. Yes. Sorry, Alex. I haven't been copying you for I don't know how long, but I'm back. Okay, awesome, thanks. Well, for those of you who sent through confirmation that this was not the elephant that charged Mark, thanks so much, and really it's an incredibly awesome thing that we have access to, and that there are so many of you out there passionate about the different animals, and that we can go to people and get instant answers with something that is really interesting and important. Imagine if it was that same elephant too. Yeah, her behavior would have changed. So thank you very much for that feedback regarding the elephants, and like I say, just good to try and keep our fingers on the pulse and know as much as we can out here, and your help on this matter really is appreciated, because for us to do that from out in the field here would be a little bit more difficult. Where did those reports come from, out of interest, Alex? Where in the world was it that the people sent through that really useful information to us? Okay, so Linda in California, thank you very much. And there's probably a handful of others that also got involved, so thank you to all of you, but Linda was, I think, first to the draw there, so well done, Linda, and thank you. I hope all is well in California. Okay, and Anne on Twitter, so thank you very much for your speedy research. So we can now put my theory that was wrong to rest. Signal may cut out shortly as we are going right below the repeater, and sometimes when we are right below the repeater the signal does cut out, so So now the search begins. We might get lucky, or we may be stuck here for a few minutes and come out with nothing in the end. VM was on the vehicle last night, so he's also got a kind of vague idea where it was, up in the tip of this tree to our left. So I'm going to get my binoculars out and start scanning. Oh, we've got him. Jackpot. Wunderbar. Okay. Then you see the tallest branch, the highest tippest top. If you start on the top there you go, and work your way down slowly. Oh, you see that thick blob in there? That thick blob. Oh no, wait, this looks to be, oh no, it was an ant. I thought it was a fly. Anyway, I'm going to try and reposition ever so slightly, but VM is on it there. It is right there. And there it's going to move ever so slightly. So you can possibly notice its tail curled up there. And its one foot is facing us. It's not actually holding onto anything with its one foot. It looks like a leaf, but you can see it's like a little open crocodile mouth. And that's its one foot, just dangling there. So he is on the move. And really happy that we managed to find it so easily, and that it hasn't moved far from where it was asleep last night. I was thinking that with this heat that's already been cooking up this morning, it would have warmed up enough to have moved on. And worth just being patient here, because it may well move up onto a branch where we can see it more clearly. At the moment it's hard to even tell there's a chameleon up there, I guess, but how's it looking, Alex? Do you think it's half decent? You can see its tail curled out very clearly now, I'm sure. And they do sometimes use their tail as a aid for climbing and holding on. Okay, copy, thanks Alex. Alex is enjoying the visuals, and I hope you are as well. My monitor's blinking on and off, so I'm not entirely sure how it's looking. Oh, that was a chin spot batis that just called. And here's another one that's just landed in the tree. But it's going to be very difficult for Vim to show you with this angle, I think. But can you see it? That's a tiny little bird, really pretty. Just look on the right-hand side of this bush, Vim. You might see it flitting about. And
yeah,
if
it's moving, but it's very obscure.
Okay. Well, if it pops out into frame, it would be great, because it is a bird that I have yet to show everyone. And we might get a glimpse. Oh, there we go. That should work. And I think that was a male that we could see there. I'm going to get my book out. You can differentiate between the males and the females from that little spot below the chin, if I remember correctly. 126. Okay, yeah, so that was a female that maybe responded to the male's call. You would have noticed the brown chin and chest band, which is indicative of a female, whereas the male doesn't have that brown. He's got a black chest band, but their call is very distinctive. 3 blind mice, and it also uses that same 3 blind mice description in their call description. There's some hilarious calls when you read through these books. For example, the black-throated wattle-eye has a rasping and unmusical jip, 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 zip-wit. So yeah, I'm not sure who had the job of describing all of these bird calls, but there are some funny ones to look at. Now, is the chameleon still there? He has got himself in the most peculiar, uncomfortable looking position possible. I'm not sure why on earth he would be perched like that. Either way, what would be nice is if we could see its head. It may be that it has positioned its and flattened its body out to try and almost act like a solar panel. But then you'd think it would be in more direct sunlight. He is watching us, and now we can see his head. Can you see a little gap of his head there, Vian? But he's keeping a very beady eye on us, and it could be the fact that we are here, that he is kind of hiding and keeping an eye on us. Like the one chameleon that Romeo found on a dead branch the one day. It was hilarious. We knew the chameleon was there on one single dead branch, but whichever way we positioned the vehicle, the chameleon would just shuffle around and be directly behind the thin branch, so we could never actually see it. All we could see was its toes holding onto the branch, which may be a similar thing to what we're experiencing here. I think what we should do is continue, and maybe we'll pop by here a little bit later and it'll be in a different position in which we can view it better, because like I said, at the moment I feel it won't move too much with us here, and therefore not too much can be expected to change. But glad you got to see that chameleon. It's really a big one for the flap-neck chameleons, which are the chameleons we get here. And you wonder how many bushes you drive past with interesting animals like the chameleon in that we don't know about. Just got a question through from Ellen. Good morning, Ellen, and welcome on board. Good to have you with us. And Ellen's asking whether this is the same species of chameleon that we've been seeing on other drives, and it certainly is. It was the same type of chameleon that Mark and Jason found getting eaten by the boomslang, the same as the babies that we showed you. So yes, indeed, it is the flap-neck chameleon. It's the only chameleon we get in this area. And just like the youngsters, they can change color, and it'll be interesting when we return here later, hopefully, to notice how its coloration may have changed a little bit. Depending on the species of chameleon, ability to change color does vary. So this chameleon can't change to drastically bright colors, purples and pinks, but you do get some chameleons with the ability to change colors rather drastically. The flap-necked, from what I've seen, can go a yellowy color. Also, they can really enhance white spots on their body, so they can indeed change color. And when they're crossing the roads, which is often the time where we find them, that is when they become a yellower, light green color, often with a lot of white blotches. When they are distressed, they often make themselves black, lots of black dots, so they can change colors quite drastically. but the color spectrum to which they can change is not very broad or diverse from what I've seen. Okay, VM, where should we go? Seeing as though you directed us to the leopard yesterday, I think you should take more control of where we go.
Treehouse.
Treehouse, happy with that? Good idea? Sounds good. Just got a question all the way from Latvia, and I think it's Helen. Good morning. Welcome on board. Now, the question is, do we get any... Oh, it's an Ellen. Helen with the silent H. Morning, Ellen. Sorry about getting your name mixed up there. And we certainly do get parrots in Africa, and not too many in southern Africa. There's more in Central Africa where we've got bigger jungles and forests, but there are certainly parrots out here, and the parrot that we can see here, and which we have seen and been able to show viewers on a few of the drive, is the brown-headed parrot. What I'll do is I'll get my book out just to show you exactly the kind of parrots we get here. They are pretty, but there are some more spectacular parrots in other parts of this planet that we live on. They're also not the biggest parrots. They're quite small in size. So these are the three that we get in the Kruger National Park. However, the two on the center and left occur far further north than where we are, whereas the brown-hooded parrot's far more common and stretches throughout the entire of the Kruger National Park. So those are the three parrots, and hopefully we'll get lucky and be able to show you some. Now, I was just going to say I must make sure I don't get lazy and not follow up on any tracks or signs of animals that may have been walking down the roads, and I found some more male leopard tracks heading down this road. He headed down this road. Just trying to double check now, but it looks like after a herd of elephants, before a herd of elephants. So the elephant's tracks have covered his tracks, meaning that it's not hugely fresh. Another interesting clue here that I've realized is that the elephant track has got an antlion nest in it, the one elephant track, which means that even the elephant would have passed by here later last night or early last night. It's not recent tracks, because, and that's a great link into how we've established that the elephant were here after the leopard, therefore the elephant's tracks on top of the leopard's tracks. And then on top of that, we've been able to establish that there's an antlion track or cone, which is an insect that builds a little funnel in the ground in order to get prey animals to drop into that they can't get out of. And it's also built that cone structure in the sand, which they typically do at night. And there was a leopard lurking around here, tracks that we were following up on a couple of days back, and it could well be quarantine. The brother of that leopard we saw earlier this morning. Imagine if we find both the brothers on the same drive. Looks like somebody may have already been tracking this leopard, but that's strange because I've seen some footprints down this road. Are any stations mobile? Morning mobile stations. Can any station copy me? Morning, Scotcha. Kunyuma's on a Dikabamba on Twin Dams, if anyone's interested. I have to switch the vehicle off to transmits on this radio, as it sometimes cuts the broadcast. So that's my science mind, turning the vehicle off. Did you copy that message? To communicate on the Game Drive channel, and for some reason it interferes with the broadcast, so I do apologize for that, but you didn't miss out on anything. And we're still following these leopard tracks. I can see that somebody's been walking down this road also following the leopard tracks, so not sure who it is though, because don't seem to be getting much luck on the Game Drive channel for this area that we're in. On the other Game Drive channel for the other area that we traversed to the west of us, I managed to let those guys know, so if they're desperate or battling for leopard, they can come across to us. No, there's no further sign of these tracks here that I can see. But that's not a problem. We shall just continue with our adventure. We are very close to our southern boundary, which is here, and the tracks we're heading straight towards it, so could well have crossed out into a property where we cannot get to. But it was worth following, because even though they were old, and we knew they were old from, like I said, the elephant tracks being on top of them, and then this antlion, an insect that typically builds the cone-shaped traps in which other small insects fall into and then it latches onto because they can't climb out. They typically build their cones at night, so it would have had a whole night in which to build its cone-shaped trap within or on top of an elephant track, and therefore telling us that it would have been early hours of yesterday evening that both the leopard and the elephant passed by there. But even though the tracks were old, that leopard could have moved 100 meters and made a kill and spent 3 days there. So just because the tracks weren't very fresh, it doesn't mean that they're not worth following. And we are still keeping to VM's plan to head to Treehouse Dam. Oh. Either a python or a puff adder has crossed the road in front of us here, and the reason why I can tell that it's one of those two snakes is because the track is very, very straight, and the term used is rectilinear or caterpillar-like motion, which is used by pythons and puff adders to move. They don't slither in a serpentine fashion. I'm going to have a quick look and see if we can see it. So this is the track here. tricky thing about both of these types of snakes is they've got incredibly good camouflage. So my chance of seeing them once they are in any form of undergrowth is basically zero. So worth a try. I was fairly certain it was moving from left to right. And it really is interesting how often we see the snake tracks crossing the roads, but how seldom we actually see the snakes. And I think they feel the vibrations of the vehicle coming and get out of the way before we can see them a lot of the time. But some days we do get lucky, and the day, for example, when Mark and Romeo found the boomslang eating the chameleon, that's a great example. Another really memorable snake sighting over the last few months was the baby python, tiny baby python that we found, or I found with Jason, crossing a road, and it was beautiful in the open, moving slowly, and managed to see it cross the road slowly right in front of us. Here's a female steenbuck. That's kind of hiding from us, I guess, in this tall grass. And interesting that that is a fully grown adult female. There's some really small antelope out here, and even smaller ones in different parts of Africa. But this is probably the smallest antelope. Well, it is the smallest antelope we get here in the Sabi Sands. The dike is slightly bigger. We've got a nice view of her face. Hello. Very pretty. I wonder what she's looking at across here. Oh, well, there's something else that I've just spotted crossing the road, and we really have been lucky with the giraffe over the last few days. So bye-bye steenbuck, and we are off to see the giraffe. Now, it was a female that crossed the road ahead of us. Whether there's more members of her herd that are still going to cross the road, or others may have already crossed before we got here, I'm not too sure, but we will soon find out. Well, Wim, your plan to head to Treehouse Dam so far is working out very well. Oh, we've got lucky. There's going to be a few more crossing the road shortly. Do you mind turning on that camera? Wim, the little one behind you. Apologies if the shot is not ideal, but we're just getting a little camera that we've got positioned right behind the vehicle, and it gets both myself and VM in the shot. And I think it's going to be a good one now, because we've got two giraffe on our right hand side that are going to cross the road in front of us. Beautiful. Young female, maybe around 2 years old would be a guess. And there's an even smaller one that is still going to cross the road, that's off to the right. So we'll wait for her to come. And I'm just going to reposition ever so slightly and let the game viewer that's also come along this road past. So good to have giraffe back in the area, as I've mentioned in the past, and I'm sure Mark has as well. We don't get to see them very often. Morning. Very good. How are you doing? Good.
Not making your pictures?
Don't worry, we won't film you. Okay, well, we're going to continue and try and get some different views of these giraffe, because they've both moved out of shots. But I'm just going to have a quick chat with this game viewer to let them know what's going on.
Hello.
How you doing? Yeah, how are things, man? Very good morning, folks. How you doing? How's everyone?
BBC?
No, we're not. We're not. We're for a company called WildEarthTV.
Hi, TV.
And we're doing a live stream broadcast, so there's people all over the world at the moment who are watching and following this live. So
Good, very good.
yeah, so when you go home you can also join us for a few game drives around an area that you'll be familiar with after your safari.
Lekker man.
Cool. Have a good morning.
Morning to you. Bye.
Bye. People always get interested when they see us driving around, and it really is a cool setup, these vehicles, and just the vehicles alone are really cool. So a lot of people are interested as to what we're doing, and a lot of them just assume that we are we're filming footage for a documentary or a movie. None of them realize that it's actually a live operation that's going on, and a lot of the time they kind of blink and look at you a bit dumbfounded when you tell them what is going on, because it really is a phenomenal thing that the Wild Earth founders have managed to get into place. I think it's remarkable what technology has allowed us to do these days, and I'm sure it's certainly come with a lot of hard work. It's not easy to make this happen, and I take my hats off to all the technical wizards out there that do make this possible for us, because it's moments like these that we can share with you live. And I'm sure a lot of you are sitting in cold and snowy environments, very, very far from here, but yet you're still with us and still enjoying every step of this adventure with us. Well, I'm trying to work out, are these the same two, or are there a lot more? VM, have you kept track? I'm not entirely sure.
I don't know.
Okay, well, we're not sure if it's just 3, but there are certainly 3, but could be more. Go ahead, Alex. No problem. Alex's laptop just crashed, so he'll be sending me through that question shortly. In the meantime, I'm going to try and loop ahead of these giraffe again in order to get a good view. It's always a bit of a gamble choosing where you think they are going to pop out. This individual could be looking back for the smallest member of this herd. It's not a baby by no means, but it was considerably smaller than the 2 we have seen. Okay, we are going to do a very big loop around, so bear with me for a moment, but I think it will work out for us in the long run. They're moving very quickly, so I'm going to have to speed up my approach here. I thought I was going to do a big enough loop ahead of them to make sure we've got ample time to watch them approach us, but I was wrong and miscalculated the speed that they were moving at, and this one individual really is moving quickly. Let's go a little bit. Just got a question through from Hal in Dakota. Morning, Hal. Welcome on board. Hal is asking how quickly a giraffe can run. Now, that is a good question, and you can see with those really long legs, you can imagine the stride that they can take. And it's a beautiful thing to watch giraffe moving quickly, especially through open plains. I've had some really great sightings in East Africa where there are typically a lot more open plains than most parts of southern Africa, so I had some wonderful sightings of them there. And I remember following alongside some giraffe that were running at what I would assume is full speed, and it was between kind of 50 and 60 kilometers an hour that we were moving alongside them in the vehicle. So in miles per hour, that is around 30-35 miles an hour. That was obviously a very unscientific method of testing. We were just driving alongside and guesstimating that we were moving at the same speed of them, which I guess is fairly easy enough because we were keeping in line with them. So give or take a few kilometers per hour, we can assume the top speeds are around 50-60 kilometers an hour. And the most wonderful thing is, even though they're moving really quickly, it looks like they're moving in slow motion from the rocking action of their long body. Something also nice to note looking at these females, relative to the male that we saw yesterday and the other males we have been seeing, especially some really big males that we've been seeing, who have dark chocolate brown patches, almost black, whereas these females are a lot lighter, and that's fairly common amongst the giraffe, that the males will be darker than the females. The tree that she's feeding on is a buffalo thorn, and it's got really nasty hooked thorns as well as straight thorns, but as you can see, her technique of stripping all the leaves off will aid in flattening those thorns. So she grips on at one point, and then by stripping, you can imagine the flattening effect it has on any of the straight or hooked thorns as she strips down the plant. So they do adapt their browsing technique depending on the trees they're feeding on, but they're always up against the thorny bushes, and the trees have thorns for a reason. It's not superficial or just there for aesthetics. It's because the trees with very tasty leaves have had to develop protection to try and slow down the herbivores when feeding on them, whereas trees with less palatable and less nutritious leaves have not required to develop thorns or security from herbivores. So it's fair to say that any small leaves you see out here are the tasty ones, and any big ones you see are typically not the tasty ones. She's giving this buffalo thorn a serious makeover. It'll be interesting to see how long she does manage to feed on it though, because all the plants do pump out pitta tannins to the leaves when they are under attack. So they do notice that they are being attacked and do have a backup plan in sending these pitta tannins to the leaves. So that typically prevents any of the herbivores finishing any one tree completely, and that's obviously a great way for sustainable browsing. They're only feeding on a small part of the tree, therefore not affecting its greater good or health, therefore ensuring that they have food in the future and that the plants also survive to bring them food in the future, as without any vegetation here, obviously nothing would exist. So it's wonderful how nature, or Mother Nature, has balanced everything to work out, and in an ecosystem like the Kruger National Park that we are parts of here, where there's millions and millions of hectares for nature to take care of itself naturally without having to intervene in any way. It really is remarkable. Diane in Michigan, good question and good morning. So Diane's asked whether the brown patches that I've been speaking about on the giraffe, whether they darken with age. And yes, I think it is fair to say that they do darken with age. So that is a good point and something that I possibly should have mentioned. In the same breath though, it's important to realize that you cannot use this simply as a gauge for the age of animals, because even if we take the giraffe that we haven't shot here, the three of them, you'll notice distinctively different colorations between, two of them are fairly dark, whereas the one on the left here that I think VM's filming now is considerably light. And I think we're going to have a good opportunity shortly to compare two that are both about to pop into shots. Well, we are really getting lucky if she decides to feed on either way, just the fact that she's passed through here. But compare this female here to the larger one behind her, and you'll notice now that just genetically they've considerably different. And the reason why I say it's not necessarily age that makes them dark is that the youngest, smallest giraffe to the left, that's also going to be coming into shot soon, is already very dark. So genetics and age together impacts on this coloration. Hello. Was I imagining things, or did she just say something to us? I just saw her lips moving. But as you know, giraffe don't make any audio, so you do have to lip read them. And it was quite funny because just after I did say good morning, you may have noticed she was kind of moving her lips from side to side, almost as if she was talking. I'm going to get back onto the road and see what our next one should be. If there's another gap where we can loop ahead of them, or possibly if they manage even to just feed closer to the road, which is looking likely that they are going to do that. So we might get lucky and have them feeding parallel to the road with us, which will make life easy. Well, what a morning it's been. Really lucky to be having almost non-stop entertainment from some wonderful animals of all different shapes and sizes. leopard, elephants, chameleon, the steenbok to giraffe was quite a nice transition because that was the smallest antelope we get in this area to one of the largest herbivores or tallest herbivores we get in this area. So been a good mix this morning. We haven't done any birds, have we? Oh, the chin spot batis. We got the chin spot batis, which was a good one. But it is interesting how one drive can vary so drastically to the next. Sometimes in 5 minutes you can stop and look at 5 different birds, and other drives you just don't get those opportunities. So coffee, thank you, sir. So there's 1 hour left to go, and what I would like to do is, once we have finished with this giraffe sighting, which may be now because they are heading into fairly thick bush, but we'll just give it a minute or two just to establish what the best option will be. And then I'd like to head back to Kunyuma and see if anything's changed there. There's a chance we'll find him up the tree, and the only way to find out is by going there. But it'll take us about 15 minutes to get there, and we'll go past Treehouse Dam on the way. We'll slowly start weaving our way in that direction and see what happens. The giraffe for now out of shots and not looking promising, so we can carry on. I wonder when we can have some lion coming to visit us again. It's been a while since we've showed you lions, so don't worry, we're fully aware of that, but sadly they just haven't been, well, I lied, they have been on our property, but sadly they came and went in the middle of the night before last, 2 big male lions, in through the northern part of the property and straight through the center of it, crossing out our southern boundary. Okay, awesome. Alex has just given me the message that somebody on Twitter took the opportunity of my little bloops calling the giraffe zebra, and they've changed the coloration of a giraffe to a zebra pattern on a giraffe body, which must look really cool, and I can't wait to get back and see that. So well done to whoever it was. And it was also a funny one of a photoshopped image of me running back to the vehicle, as I sometimes do when I'm off tracking, and the 2 big Matimba males walking down the road as if I'm running away from them. So there are some talented people out there with post-production and photoshopping, and it really is funny, so thanks for that. Oh, well done, VM. Oh, that's so cool. I'm going to stop in the shade here and let VM show you guys. And now I can see the real picture, and it's so cool. Apologies, VM sometimes uses his phone to throw at things, and therefore you'll notice a large crack on it. But you'll also notice that there's two perfect comparisons between two giraffe, one in a zebra coat and one in a giraffe coat, as well as two zebra, one in a giraffe coat and one in a zebra coat. And wouldn't it be wonderful? Oops. That was that. Now I don't know what to do, VM. Gallery. Maybe? No. Anyway, I'm sure they got a good look at it, hey? So, well done to whoever that was, and thanks, Alex, for updating us on that, because that was really great to see. Something I also really need to mention, and I should have done so earlier, there have been a lot of people sending me messages on Facebook expressing how much they've enjoyed the drives and the whole experience so far, and I really do thank you so much for your kind words. It does mean a lot to me, and it's sad times as the project is drawing to a close, but with all your support we've got from this project that we are so grateful for, hopefully that will mean future projects are possible, and it's only with your support that this whole experience and this product will grow, and I really hope it does grow, because it's endless the places that we could go on safari and take people on safari to, not just Africa but all over the world. So I'm hoping that that happens and that I am still involved if and when it does. And just a big thank you to all the messages people have sent over the last few days. A lot did come through yesterday as well, and I'm really, really appreciative of that. And sorry I haven't got back to any of you. It's not that I've got back to a few and not others. I haven't got back to anyone. And I'm hoping that once the project does draw to a close and I have finished the course that I'm going to be doing in Cape Town, which starts on the 2nd of February, once I'm finished with that, then I'll be able to get back to a lot of people's messages and emails and requests, because people have asked a lot of questions that I haven't got back to anyone. But it's important to realize that there's a lot of people sending through these messages, and it would take me a lot of time to get on top of things. So forgive me for not getting back to you, but it doesn't go unappreciated or unnoticed, and I'm glad you're loving this experience, because I'm loving it, and you love it, that something's right. So that's great news. So here we are at Treehouse Dam, and doesn't seem to be any larger visitors yet, but I'm sure the buffalo will approach later on today. They're here almost every day, especially from kind of midday into the afternoon, when they like to come here and cool off, lying in the shallows. Felt like we're going to drive into the dam there. Had a small panic attack. Whew. Too busy watching the village weaver birds. who actually don't seem to be too highly active at the current moment. They may have already finished their morning bustle and now have calmed down their activity to a degree. Oh, wonderful. And so we shall join in on its little morning hunt and see what it manages to catch in these shallows. Baby catfish, frogs are two of the more likely candidates for prey items in amongst these shallows, but let's watch it in action and see what happens. It's really awesome watching it, how stealthy it is and how it's positioning each foot as delicately as it can. Look at that head. I mean, really, can you believe such a crazy shaped head? VM, can you see the raptor soaring there? Looks like a Wahlberg's eagle, a pale form there. Oh no, we just missed the hummerkop gobble something up. It was small, it looked like an insect, but too many things to look at out here. So and it's always a wonderful thing to watch eagles soaring, and it's just getting warm enough now for it to start riding thermals. As you would have noticed, it hasn't flapped its wings, not even once. And once it does get onto a good thermal, we'll notice it'll be able to rise altitude, but not gaining height too quickly. This will change drastically as the temperature increases though. Prime view of it, and now we can see how carefully it's putting each foot forward, just as a leopard or a lion would. I know there's could well be a little bush in front of the shot, but I don't want to risk moving now and scared because we are so close to it. That'll be worth us waiting for it to continue past this little bush, hopefully. Is it okay there, VM, or not really?
This is right.
Okay, let me try and freewheel. It may not get scared. Oh, they've got a fish, a baby catfish, can you believe it? Can you actually believe it? Awesome. Well, I didn't have time to get my binoculars onto it, but like I say, I'm fairly certain that was a baby catfish. Well, that right there, folks, was a kill if I've ever seen one. And it may not be the last one we see. Oh, it thought about going there. I mean, how on earth they know what's under this murky, dark water is a mystery to me. Let's watch this next foot come forward. It's so wonderful watching how delicately it places that foot forward. And it'll also be feeling for the fish or any prey with those feet as it slowly places them down. Ooh, Ooh, something's gonna happen here. Oh! It missed. A failed attempt, and it is so often that the predators do fail in their attempts, even though they're highly adapted and evolved to catch prey. It makes more sense for the prey items to have out-evolved the predators, because if it was too easy for the predators to catch the prey, there wouldn't be any prey left for the predators to catch. So the odds are always stacked heavily in the prey's favor, and it's only with remarkable bits of hunting and luck that the predators actually get lucky every now and then. I wish I could see the monitor, but I'm sure you are getting a really tight shot with VM. Hey VM, how's it looking?
Quite close.
Cool. Because we are so close to it. Copy, thanks Alex. Confirmation from Alex that he's also enjoying the shot, and I'm sure a lot of you out there are as well. I'm loving it. I'm loving every second of this. You may have heard some elephant trumpeting behind us. They didn't sound very happy. So we'll bear that in mind for after this. Maybe we're going to have a look, see what's exciting them. More elephant trumpeting up. Can you pick up that audio, Vim?
Very soft.
Very soft. Okay. Oh, another catfish. Look at that. Look at that. That is incredible. How did you do that, Hamakop? They're really pretty, those baby catfish. That one looks slightly bigger than the last one, and oh, there it goes. I wouldn't like to have that little catfish literally swimming around my stomach, because that got swallowed alive and whole, so there must be some serious digestive juices in this Hamakop stomach, as a lot of the time with the predators there's very powerful digestive juices that help digest their food. And now I've got my camera out because this opportunity is just too good to be true. I wonder if it's going to catch another one. I think it will. It seems to be really doing well, and have perfected the art at catching these little catfish. Oh, it's incredible how quick it is, and those reactions, and how it was able to stop itself there at the last moment when it decided to abort that hunt. Oh, nice cool breeze picking up. As with most hunters, patience is critical. Oh, it's sounding like these reavers have all just really woken up again, and I'm not sure what's causing that. My initial thought there could be a snake that they've discovered trying to raid their nests, and I'm sure it has happened over the last few weeks, but we haven't been here when it has. We were, however, at Djuma Dam when it happened, and that poor baby python came off second best. So I'm guessing he's waiting, or she's waiting for the catfish to rise up and make some kind of a swirl on the surface, because it does seem to be plucking them off the surface. It's hard to tell exactly how it manages to pinpoint where they are. It seems to be using a different technique to earlier though. It's not moving as much as it was. So you wonder why it's changed its technique. Well, when the leopard has already made a kill and the lion aren't around, the hammerkop's a great option to follow on the hunt, and I'm just so happy that it's come close to us, because we're really lucky at how close it is to us, because we must be getting some great images, and it is a beautiful bird and a very unique looking bird. There's nothing else quite like it out here. A message from Cadria on Twitter saying such calculated moves, and that is a great way to describe this hunting we're seeing. And it looks like it's picking up the hunting tempo again. So don't move a muscle and don't blink, because if you do blink you will miss it striking for the catfish. It is so quick. Imagine being poised and focused for this long. Well, I can kind of imagine, because I'm being poised and focused with my camera now for the last few minutes, and it's not easy. I'm losing concentration quickly here, and even just getting uncomfortable from the position that I'm holding myself in, and like any long posture or poise, I guess it does start to become tiring the longer you do it, and it's no different for this hammerkorp. It's not easy business out here hunting catfish at Treehouse Dam, and it certainly is doing a good job at it. And let's hope he gives us one more strike in the next couple of minutes before we head off. But like I said, it seems like it's taking more of a passive hunting approach now. We're just waiting in the right position for anything to pop up, rather than how he was almost searching for the prey earlier. More on the move. Just got a question through from Linda. Morning, Linda. Linda's asking whether we get any crocodiles in any of the dams, and sadly we don't. And I'm not too sure why we don't. We do get crocodiles in the Sand River and the Sabi River that flow through this reserve. Not huge amounts of them, having said that, but they are there. And I'm not sure exactly why we don't get crocs at these dams. Some of the bigger dams in the Sabi Sands on different properties do have crocodiles, but none of the dams that I've seen here in Djuma have got crocs. Sorry, Alex, if you could just go again with the name, please. Okay. Just got a question through from Gwendolyn in Southern California. Good morning, Gwendolyn, and welcome on board. Gwendolyn's asked a great question in that, asking about the head of the hammerkorp and whether that elongated shape that we see sticking out from the back of the head is just the feathers, or if it's actually the shape of the skull. And I am fairly certain it's just the shape of the feathers and not the shape of the skull, but this is just how I feel, and I'm not 1000% sure. So there's a small chance that it does have a very elongated skull, but I would doubt it and think it's just the feathers that create that impression. If anybody does know the answer to that, please feel free to share that with, or have any other ideas of what they think might be causing that elongated head, but I'm fairly certain it's just the feathers. If you don't have any luck, then we'll go and have a look and see if Kunyuma's up the tree. We've got half an hour left, so we can start heading up there. And then depending on how that goes, we may even be able to head back to the Chameleon and see what its latest movements have been. Ooh, things are looking good. I saw a little bit of movement in the lilies, or those little plants rather, just, I'm not sure what exactly they are, just in front of the hammerkorp. And just to recap, the hammerkorp, which we have spoken about on previous drives, but for any newcomers, the hammerkorp is a beautiful bird, and it's called the hammerkorp because of its hammer-shaped head. A kop in Afrikaans, or Dutch, which is the language of Dutch descent. Oh, in this little section of this puddle, and there's a chance there is, so let's see. Look at that head, which you can tell is predominantly feathers when it shakes it. Well, thanks very much, Suzanne, for confirming that the skull of the hammerkorp is in fact a regular shaped skull, and it's just the feathers that create that incredible hammer shape. From the back of its skull. So thanks for clearing that up, and again, just a wonderful example of how we do have viewers out there that are really sharp and knowledgeable and helpful at the end of the day, because that information and confirmation of such things that we're discussing really is wonderful, that we can establish that immediately, and I really thank you for that. Okay, but I think it is time to continue. We've seen two good kills, two large kills from this hammerkorp, and this morning has just been marvelous in terms of the amounts of really different things we've been seeing. Well, VM, I think your treehouse suggestion right there was the jackpot, eh? Everybody likes to see animals hunting, and that was a fine display of the hammerkorp at its stealthiest. That's lucky. We found these elephants and they're just around the corner here. I'm just going to creep forward slowly because it is a very thick and windy area that if something were to happen, it's not going to be easy to maneuver about. Looks like there's a big bull here. So maybe that's amongst the breeding herd, so maybe that's why there was a bit of trumpeting, that ladies may be getting frustrated having a Borscht male around. Not necessarily, but I think that's what's going on here. Oh, two big males. So maybe there's a female that's in seed. And again, it's difficult for me without the monitor, but as VM pans across, you'll notice two elephants which are considerably larger than the others, and those are the two bulls. Interesting to have bulls amongst a breeding herd. And like I said, that could mean that one of these ladies is coming into season. Trumpeting of probably the females.
think the batteries though.
Oh no, okay, cool. Oh, you got the bull sniffing us there. Hey, awesome, look at that. Oh, and a Carmine Beater just flew past, so it's all happening here. It really is. Well, let's keep an eye on this bull. Is he going to be in must? Is he going to cause trouble? Or even better, are we going to see elephants mating? This is a young bull here, closest to us, with a much bigger bull, the one further along. It's a beautiful specimen, that big bull. He is really pretty, and he's got such nice tusks. Well, interesting to see how much bigger they get over the years. I think he's still probably got another 10 or 15 years in him, at least. Come on, monitor. With sightings like this, with so much going on for the cameramen to film, I've got no idea of exactly what you're looking at, so it makes for difficult narrating or lack thereof. So either way, when you do have a sighting as beautiful as this, not much needs to be said, because the animals are doing all the work here, and there's very little I can say to describe that. But if you do have any questions regarding these elephant, then that is something that I would be able to chat about. So get those questions through to Alex in the final control. And to do that, for those of you who are not sure, it's hashtag Safari Live on Twitter, or questions at wildearth.gmail.tv on email. So I'll just go again with the email again, because I've hashed it up just as I did yesterday. It's questions@wildearth.tv. Now the car that's about to cross the road is hopefully going to lead her cute little calf along with her. And I'm wondering if she's not the one that's potentially coming into season, because that's why these males are both hanging around very close to her. Hard to say. A calf doesn't look old enough for her to be coming into season, but it could well be that it is. And now she's giving us a good sniff as well. Elephants typically mate every 3 to 4 years, and then they've got basically a 2-year gestation period, 22 months. So actually that does add up, because her calf does look like it could be about 2 years of age, and therefore that would make sense for it to be coming into season again. Now, I've only ever seen elephants mating once, and now might be the second time. It's looking really promising. That male's sniffing her very closely, the male behind her. So I think we could see elephants mating. I do tend to get excited and overanalyze things in our favor in situations like this, so factor that into the equation. And the fact that I've only also seen them mating once is also something to read into, in that I'm not hugely experienced when it comes to elephants mating, but now it appears she's almost backing up into him. And that audio and trumpeting we heard earlier could well have been them mating. What's that on her forehead? It looks like she's even got some kind of a little scratch on her forehead. Not sure what that could be from. Doesn't make sense that it could be from mating. Now you can see the bull at the back has draped his trunk over his tusk. Again, very good behavioral indicator that he could be in must. I can't see from here if he is, but he's also a beautiful specimen. Very nice big head. His ivory is not impressive. Just got a question come through asking how far elephants can travel in a day. It's a good question, and I don't know of any exact statistics, but large distances, I would say 30 kilometers easily a day. 20, 30 miles a day easily if they need to. Maybe these two bulls were actually what were trumpeting, and they were fighting amongst one another potentially for the rights to this lady, and may continue to do so. It looks like the bull that's closer to us on the right hand side is more dominant, because as he turned towards the bull on the left with the slightly more impressive ivory, although it's a toss-up I guess, their ivory, now that the other one's come into view, the other one moved off, so practicing submissive behavior. I'm wondering if he's going to come up to us and say good morning, or if he's more interested in the lady. I'm guessing the latter will be his main focus and not us. Alex, if you wouldn't mind doing some research as to how often elephants do mate when they are mating, if you know, relatively kind of like lion and leopard that will mate on average every 15 to 20 minutes or for 3 to 5 days. I'm not sure how many copulations and how regularly they occur with elephants, because that would be interesting for us to know, as it may help us establish how long to spend here and if there is a chance of seeing them mating again, if they are indeed mating. Thanks very much. Thanks, Alex. Well, they all appear to almost be dozing off now in the shade. They're not feeding, they're not on the move, they're just taking some time out. As I plan to do shortly, and we've only got just under 15 minutes left, so we might not make it back to Kunyuma in time to see what his status is, but there'll be this afternoon for that, if need be. And sadly that means also the chameleon, we won't be able to check up on the chameleon. Now let's watch the behavior from these two bulls. Look at the bull on the left, how already it kind of turned its head away, again acting submissively, and now continues to move a little bit further. so glad the wind picked up to keep us cool, because earlier this morning it was dead still and it was seriously hot. It could well be that this female is only coming into season, or potentially even going out of season, and therefore no mating will occur. But if she is coming into season, it would be typical for males to pick up that scent and realize that she's coming into season and then start following. And that following period of time allows, firstly, different bulls to pick up that there's a female coming into season. And secondly, and also very importantly, it allows those individual bulls that have picked up on the information to then compete with one another to see who gets access to her. So these two may be the first two in queue, but not necessarily the ones to get the mating rights at the end of the day. A much bigger bull could come and oust them. So those are things just to think about. Potential variables in this whole equation, but I'm fairly certain this individual is coming in, either coming into season, in season, or on the way out. You wouldn't have two bulls hanging so close to her. It would be unlikely, unless there was a reason for them to be here. Copy, thank you very much for that, Alex. So the info that Alex was able to retrieve regarding their mating is that they mate many times, it says, so that could mean anything, over a course of several days. So a lot of copulations over the course of several days. And what also is interesting is that the males will often tend to hang around for a prolonged period of time after mating with the female. And she's coming back out, and let's see what happens here. Please, can you mate? It's the most bizarre thing to see, because they're big as it is, and when he mounts her, he's going to be very high in the sky. Look at that youngster, so cute. Now what's also going to be interesting is to see the male's behavior now. Both of them turning simultaneously. They are both keeping such a close eye on her. She really is the prized possession and star of the show here that we're watching. It's so awesome to watch their behavior, those big bulls. There we go. There we go. Don't go anywhere. Incredible. Got a question through from Darren on Twitter, and it's a very good question. Darren's asked whether elephants will mate only when they are in must, or the bull elephants, and the answer to that is no. Both of these bulls are here with intentions of mating, and both of them are not in must at the moment. So it's not a necessity for the bulls to be in must in order for them to mate. I think it simply just helps males to cover high distances and ensure that males that are in season at any given time are mated with, and that period of must simply ensures that males are more likely to get that job done due to the fact that they are sexually heightened. Where did the female go now? Because she is the one we need to follow closely, because there she is. She is leading up front, because the rest of these bulls, and there's even a young bull, a very small one, I'm not sure where he fits into the picture, But it could very well be that this female also separated herself from her regular herd for this mating to take place, and these 3 bulls that we're seeing could be straggling behind her in the hope one of them is going to get lucky. And isn't this wonderful to watch? She's literally leading charge and they are following hot on her heels, and we are merely bystanders enjoying the interaction here. What to do, what to do. Wow, look at this bug. You got it there, Vim.
Yes.
It's a stink bug of sorts. If I was to agitate it, it would let off a very foul smelling smell. But there's many different types. The stink bug, Vim, and myself. We haven't moved and there's been no sign of these elephants coming out, so we're just going to edge forward. It was quite a way that we looped ahead of them, so they could have veered further south north, taking them away from where we are now. But we'll keep checking. And just 2 minutes, unless we bump into them in the next 2 minutes. Thanks very much for joining us, and it's been a wonderful day. I certainly have, and I look forward to this afternoon's adventures. Good prospects, because Kunyuma, the leopard, will still be on that Daikakil. I'm fairly certain of that. Black signal. Welcome back. We are live. I don't know what it is about this. Sometimes that's not. But anyway, they want a big thank you to them on camera, Alex in final control. Quickly, Mark has taken a few days and a few matters that he urgently needs to attend to. Nothing serious, but he does need to sort out a few things. So he's headed off and will be back for the Friday afternoon drive. So it'll just be myself until then in terms of presenters. And I look forward to sharing the next week. And have a wonderful day or night wherever you are. We'll see you next time.